Hi, my name is Stephanie. I am making this channel mostly for myself as a journaling, self-reflection, my mental health, going into the next chapter of my life, realizing things I've overcame, things that I'm still struggling with, things that I am coming to peace with. I also want to add recipes and videos of healthy eating and healthy cooking, which is something that has been amazing for my mental health. Obviously, putting good nutrition in your body. Also, making peace with food, which is something I'll talk about on this channel as well. But if these videos fall into somebody else's lap and I can help somebody even realize you're not alone and things can and will get better, that would be great. I guess a little bit of an overview of me. Like I said, my name is Stephanie. I am 28 years old. I live in Missouri with my fiance. We've been together for 2 years, almost 2 years. We are getting married next month. We have 2 pit bulls and a dachshund, and the dachshund runs the bunch. We have a Maine Coon cat named Cece, who is crazy but cute, plus vicious all at once. We both love cooking and baking. His background is culinary. Like I said, I have really been looking into and studying healthy eating for myself. So we really got to learn new ways of cooking together, which has been great. I am a teacher. I'm on summer break right now, so that is why I'm starting this channel too. And I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. The medical definition of it is a hormonal disorder that causes enlarged ovaries and cysts to be formed. Every woman with PCOS, while we have similar symptoms, everybody's body reacts to it differently. Hence, it's a hormonal disorder, so everybody's hormones are different. And also, yet again, choices you have to make in your life. My biggest symptoms were obesity, beginning insulin resistance, acne, skipping periods for months, having periods for a month and a half, then being heavy, going through large pads within 30 minutes or less, going through middle school and high school, and you're very self-conscious about your weight, and there are people that will point it out to you and make you feel not the greatest about yourself. All during that, growing up in a narcissistic household, mostly with one member of my family, which will be something I'll talk about on this channel as well. It was not an easy childhood, teenhood, early adulthood. I was 248 pounds by the time I graduated college in 2019, in December. I guess that's really when the weight issue and eating and everything had kind of reached its climax, I guess. I met a guy, we will just call him G. G and me met online in 2019. Really started hanging out probably January of 2020. From the very beginning, I should have realized red flags, but when do we always realize the red flags? Very generic-ish comments. I should have seen it. But when you want a relationship, and they are not easy to come by, when you are this size and self-esteem and what kind of environment you're in kind of affects your choices altogether. I said January, start with comments like fitness. This is him. Fitness was a big part of his life. Weightlifting, strength training, protein this, protein that. Protein is great for you. We will get into the healthy eating, but just kind of giving you the view of what he was. Just saying like, hey, fitness is a really big part of my life. I know that you've mentioned weight is something you struggled with. Have you ever thought about getting into exercising? At this time, I was starting to do things like walking. I bought an exercise equipment tool for the house. I had mini weights, I had videos. But like I said, even trying with having PCOS and not at that time knowing the very minimal effects of it all because of not doing accurate research or family members not allowing you to do the research or ask the questions that should have been asked. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, at this time I thought PCOS just meant I wasn't gonna be able to have kids and periods sucked. Like that's pretty much like the extent of what I knew. And also I did not have healthy eating because my family did not eat healthy. And yet again, with the household, it's you eat this or you don't eat. But yet again, get into that later. But, it started with comments like, you should exercise a little more. And I think if you lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds, you would be a little bit prettier. Yet again, it's a red flag now seeing it, but at that time, okay, I'll do it. Then it was 20 pounds, and then it was how much weight you can lose, and you'll look better if you looked this way, and if you lift weights, and if you eat this way, if you do this way, it would change. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, in that time, I did lose weight. I mean, at that time, it was 248 when I left college. I was probably around 220 when we met. So January of 2020, probably about 220-ish. As we all know, we know what happened in March of 2020. COVID hit. And like I said, I'm a teacher, so we were at that stage of, are we going to wait and see if we come back? Are we going to be doing online learning? If we do online learning, are we doing Zoom? Are we doing this? Are we doing posting things on Google Classroom? It was just one of those stressful situations where you really didn't know how you're going to do your job. He was in IT, so it was a little bit different for him, working on computers and doing data input. But I was constantly at home. I was constantly talking to him telling me, what did you eat today? How are you eating? What are you doing? Well, you should have more protein. There should be less carbs. There should be this. There should be that. You should be doing it this way. You should be exercising for an hour. You should be lifting weights. You should be doing this. You should come to my apartment. I'll teach you how to lift weights. And then in the midst of it, living with the family member that was extremely narcissistic and constantly being with him all day, every day, and kind of getting as many of you know, very easily, but narcissistic is somebody that they're very, I don't even want to say self-conceited, but they're very me-centric. That's a good word, me-centric. They believe everyone should do their point of view, how they want to do it. They really don't have empathy or sympathy for you. It is their way or no way. And when you don't do things the way that they believe you should do it or how you should do it, they can become abusive, mostly mental abuse. I've faced many types of abuse by this person. But constantly being in a toxic environment and then going to the person that you're in a relationship with and you go right back into a narcissistic environment and it being toxic, it was a pretty rough time. June of 2020, he was getting relocated to another state. Obviously, long distance did not seem ideal. But we made this promise. I should take claim to this. We made a promise. That time I was probably, from January to June, I probably went from 220 to probably, I don't quote me, but like 205 to 210. I was still definitely in the 200s. If I could get myself down to between 120 and 130 by March, and this is June. It's over 6 months, but realistically, pretty much, 80 to 90 pounds. That's not a little amount. He would move me up to the state that he was living in. We would get a house of some sort, we would get engaged, and we would get married. My biggest dream in life is to be a wife and a mom. Motherhood is something I really want. Yet again, struggling with PCOS, it is a rough go. Something else we will talk about on my channel, fertility. So I made this agreement. We talked a lot. Most conversations did revolve around eating and exercise. At this time, I had gotten a membership to Plant Fitness. And I was exercising for hours on end. And this is where the food enters. Like I said, my family didn't eat the most healthiest. And I'm not bashing anyone about food. I am not that person. But this was like pork steaks covered in barbecue sauce and french fries made in grease and taquitos and ravioli and toasted ravioli and heated up like banquet Salisbury steaks. And if that's what you can afford, oh my gosh, yes, I am not bashing anyone, but when we had options and when I expressed my concerns and I was kind of quote unquote blown off, it was more hurtful that it wasn't, it was a different, I shall say it. And also in that, they might have been making the right choices, and I wasn't seeing it because I was stuck in this mindset of, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight. So there was multiple factors going on during this time. But I made the ultimate choice to just not eat. I would eat bare minimum at breakfast. Like bare minimum. It got to the point that I told them I'd buy my own eggs. I would eat scrambled eggs, no salt, no butter, no pepper, nothing, just one egg in a skillet with some cooking spray and eat that egg and black coffee. That was my breakfast. Lunch, I was eating the P3 kind of things. It's pretty much supposed to be a snack. That was my lunch. Lots of hard-boiled eggs. Eggs were my thing during this time. And then dinner, I would pretty much, I'm not gonna lie, we had a dog and I'd feed it to the dog. I survived on protein shakes a lot. There was many days, because we did end up going back to school the following school year, so August of 2020. Different schedule, but main idea, we were back on campus. There was many days that I almost passed out. And there were people around me that did notice what was going on. They did point it out to me. Some were gentle, some were not. And I went from probably from August, I was probably down to like 190-ish. By December, I was down to, I was probably 145 at most. I mean, at most. And all during this time, he was telling me, great job. But don't forget. It was always, but don't forget. You need to keep this up. And my favorite comment was, how do I know you're not going to come down here and once you marry me, you're going to trap me and you're just going to gain it all back? And making that ultimate promise and just making you want to lose weight more and more, but then also wanting to be a mom, realizing during pregnancy you do put on weight and it's not always the easiest thing to shed back off after a baby. But I mean, I had so much. That January, I officially moved out of my household into a friend's house. They had a basement. I was living, they had like one of those apartments in the basement. I moved into there, and I guess I thought it was going to be like 10 times better for my relationship. I don't know. But having someone else notice your eating problems and eating disorder and then pointing it out, but then you go downstairs and you talk on the phone with somebody who's telling you they're wrong, you're doing it the right way, but you're also not doing it the right way. Like, having all these thoughts put in your head when you are just trying to grasp, because this is my first like taste of adulthood on top of it, like living on my own for the most part, other than, I have people upstairs. Getting out of a toxic situation but then still being stuck in another one and they're miles upon miles away. It's kind of hard to explain if you haven't experienced it, but it's very equivalent to the drowning and you can't get your head above water. You get a gasp of air moving out of my family's house. Gasp, get air. Him saying, you're close, but you're not there yet. Drowning. Coming up because you know yourself losing weight, which is not the best, and then someone telling you you're doing it the wrong way because you're losing too much weight. And it's just like constant drowning feeling, and you just feel like you don't have control. It kind of made my eating even worse because of something I could control. And I think that's when it was always an issue, but I think it came very detrimental when I felt like it was the only thing I had control of in my life. So at that time, I had February, and I was officially 118 pounds. And I will always remember this phone call. I called him, and I was like, hey, I'm 120 pounds. I'm at the goal. Yay. And I'm not saying this like sarcastically. Like, I was seriously like, hey, I'm 120 weight. It's February. I'm coming next month. Like, and at this point, yes, we had been together for over a year at this point. And I'm like, and he had not said I loved you at all. And I said, do you love me? Like, I'm coming next month. Like, our life's beginning next month. Like, can I hear you say it? And I'm being completely sincere. I am not being sarcastic in this. I mean, I sound sarcastic now because I'm realizing the stupidity of it all. But, like, I was genuine. Like, do you love me now? And him not looking because they're on the phone. Well, I love you like a Christian. And it was the biggest sinking feeling, realization moment I think I've ever had. And I think that's when my mental health, I honestly think that was a breakthrough, yes, but at the same time, I think it was also the straw that broke the camel's back. I went down, I wouldn't say a dark path, but definitely not the path I should have gone down. He was telling me, this conversation went on for an hour, and it was, I will go into more detail later on, but like about self-worth, but comments like, don't worry, I made you beautiful, and the world is a seller's market, and you're going to be like, you'll find a husband. Like, the way you look now, you could find a husband easily. It's easier for women to find a husband than it is for a man to find a wife. And I'm just like, at this point, I was like, what? Like, who is this person? I've spent a year and a half of my life, not a year and a half, like probably a year and a couple months worth of my life with. Like, what? Like, what is it got to the point like I went from one toxic environment to another, and you get this disappointment in yourself, if that makes sense. And it was hard, and I will admit, I jumped into online dating probably way too soon, and the mental state of where I was at, and kind of realized I'm in an eating disorder, but not really accepting the terminology I'm an eating disorder, because I was like, I do eat. Like, I don't know. I was in denial. That's the ultimate thing. I was in denial. I had started dating someone else. Not gonna get into grand details of that relationship today, but it wasn't any healthier. It wasn't so much comments about derogatory about my weight. It was more, like I said, I jumped in a relationship too soon, and I didn't really acknowledge what I had gone through. Sorry, acknowledge. Sorry, my phone got messed up. But yeah, acknowledging that I was in a non-healthy spot in my weight. But asking him, do you think I'm thin? Do you think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm this? Do you think you'll love me? And having response back like, yeah, wow, you're a real heifer. Like, very sarcastic, but when you're in that mindset, that's just not what you need to hear. And then from there, and having a lot more going on, but then I did end up with my fiance, and he is very kind and lets me ask those questions when I'm having bad days, but also during that realizing in our time together, kind of realizing a little bit of my self-worth and looking for help and going through some health scares, which I will talk about throughout this time on the channel. But a big part of it is you going out and you searching those answers to figure out how to help yourself. Because yes, there are people that will support you, and you need a support system. My fiance will be my biggest supporter ever. But sometimes you have to do for yourself. And I think going out to doctors and reaching out and telling people truly what your thoughts are and what you see. I mean, my doctor, I told her exactly my thoughts, my feelings, what I was seeing, what my health problem were. And I mean, within 30 minutes, I got the classic, symptoms of body dysmorphia. I was going through anorexic stages. I have self-esteem issues, obviously. I have PTSD from the narcissistic family. I have anxiety. I mean, it's reaching out and telling people you can be scared, because it is scary, because you don't know what's wrong. So you don't, or you do know what's wrong, but you know you don't want to hear the answer. Like, that was the biggest issue. I didn't want to hear somebody tell me that I had an eating problem. I had a disorder of some sort. I didn't want to hear it. So yes, you're going to have to want to hear it. It's the first stage is admitting you have a problem kind of thing. But admitting that I had these thoughts and it's okay to accept help. I mean, there's so much that goes with my journey after that, but that was just the start of my journey to recovery with my eating disorder. There is a lot that went into it. I mean, I had a backslide for a little bit of time. But it's admitting. And I think the moment that you're willing to admit that you have a problem and you're willing to get help, that's when it changes. And I think the biggest thing also is knowing you're not alone. So if you do come across this video, please, please know you are not alone. If you have PCOS, please know you're not alone. Anxiety, PTSD, eating disorder, abuse, anything, you are not alone. And I hope you know that. And if you come across this video, I hope you come back to hear a little bit about my story and things I've done to recover from those, and noticing red flags that you might need help noticing, and, healthy eating. Because I am going to make a cooking video soon, probably tomorrow. And I hope you come back and watch it, because it sounds like a super delicious recipe. And I can't wait to share it with you. I hope you have a great day. Bye.